This is the amplifier we're gonna go with in my car. This is the Arc Audio Falcon. Let's take a closer look at this amplifier, and I'll tell you why I picked this. Now, just like the Blackbird, this is named after an iconic jet, the Falcon. It has 1200 watts of total power, 12 channels of powered DSP, and 4 channels of output DSP. That gives us a total of 16 channels of DSP. They have a whole bunch of stickers here on the front. Digital inputs, optical and coaxial, equipped with DSP, optional Wi-Fi controller, optional PSC LR1 ready. Those are the controllers. Optional accessories. This is an iData compatible amplifier. That means I can use this with Maestro AR, RR2, and A2B as a simple plug-in system. On the back of the box, they give us a full blowout of the amplifier along with the measurements. The width of the heatsink is 5.875. The length of the amplifier is 11.25 inches. And oddly enough, they don't have the height. It's very strange. But it also gives us where everything is located on the side of the amplifier. And the one thing I really like about this, sometimes when you mount the amps in strange places, you might not know where something is. So for example, the USB is located over here. Now, if you've populated this plug, which is the remote in, out, and profile 1 and 2, you might not be able to see this guy. And if you have the LR1 plugged in, if you're trying to look like this, you're definitely not going to see it. Looking at the box makes it a lot easier to figure out, like, oh yeah, there it is, it's over here or it's over there. There is some functionality to putting this on the box. 70 watts times 12 at 4 ohms, 110 watts times 12 at 2 ohms, 200 watts times 6 bridged, 4 ohm. Let's open this thing up. Inside the box, USB-C to regular USB. That's right, this is a USB-C amplifier for the DSP. Who's excited about that? This guy. Now, the amplifier does come in a bag, but we've already taken it out of the bag because we did some previous measurements on it. So we'll set this aside for right now. Underneath the amplifier is a bag of parts. Let's take a look. There are 2 input connectors for the amplifier. There's this one here, which would typically be your high-level input. It has 8 high-level inputs on it. It is an 8-channel input amplifier. That's important. It is a 16-channel amplifier, but it has 8 channels of input to feed those 16 channels. And then new to this amplifier is the new low-level harness that has been redesigned so that the RCAs are staggered. Now, when you go to put it in, you actually have some room so that you don't have this giant bouquet of RCAs. You can stagger them down. You can make something that's turned so that everything can plug in nice and neat. This will just clean up the installation a lot. These plugs are both the black plugs. Next, 2 plugs that we have are our output plugs. These are also redesigned to be more robust. They're also using a little bit thinner wire to make it easier to manage. This is an 8-pin plug for some of the channels, and this is a 16-pin plug for the other channels. So instead of making one giant plug, we just have 2 plugs. This has this much more robust black piece here. If you've seen the other version of this that's on like the Blackbird, it's just a regular white Molex style connector. They've gone back to the design board and made it more of a finished look. It has something you can grab on it. The wires are way more flexible and manageable, and the colors are way more vivid on this than on the previous. So the black is definitely very black and thick and easy to see, as well as the red. It's now almost half of the wire. The reason why it is like that is because they put negatives on one side, positives on the other, but it's every other one. The purpose of that is for bridging the amplifier. On this would be the negative speaker lead, this would be the positive speaker lead if you were bridging this pair, and this works the same way. This is not something that can come off or slide off or do anything like that. It is bonded onto this. It is a complete harness, so you don't have to worry about like, oh, they just put some goo over this. No, it's attached and it's on there. If you're curious about the physical size of the Falcon, here is the Nighthawk. this is the other amplifier that's going into this vehicle that is going to run the subwoofers. The Nighthawk and the Blackbird are the exact same size. So this amplifier is actually 3 inches bigger than its smaller brothers. Let's take a look at the side of the amplifier. First off is the clip protection lights that are built in. These are an analog version of them. In the software, there is actually 4 sets of clip lights for setting this amplifier up. It's all done in the software. However, if you don't have this plugged into a laptop and you just want a visual representation of what is going on, these lights are here for that. First is the input located right here. This is where whatever you've chosen, high level or low level, is going to plug in. Clip up. If you'll also notice, it goes 1 to 8. Located next to that is the BTM input, your optical input, and the auto sense switch. This has 3 options for turning the amplifier on. If it's located in the center, it's wanting you to use the remote input located here. There's also a remote output. Don't daisy chain your remotes on this. Come into this and out to your other amplifiers. This has the ability to control the remote out. So if it needs a delay or anything like that, it can be done through the software on the amplifier. Next is DC offset. If you're going to be doing this using high level input and the source unit that you're connecting to has the DC offset built into it, that's a 6 volt DC output when the system turns on. Most cars do have it. You can select that, and that will turn the amplifier on. Worst case scenario, you also have signal sense. Above that is the outputs, and you'll notice these little drawings here, that corresponds to those red and black wires as far as which is your bridge configuration. Remember, this is 1 to 8 and this is 1 to 12. They are backwards in their direction. The first plug here is the big 16. Clip is now down. It'll plug in here until you hear the snap, and then channels 9 through 12 are located next to it here. The AXP, the PSC, and the LR1 inputs are located here on the bottom. Next to that is our USB-C input for connecting to your laptop. Going back to the remote plug, you have profile 1 and 2. If you would like to do a switch to change presets on this without having to have one of these controllers, that's what that is for. The outputs for channels 13 through 16 are located next, and it does go 13, 14, 15, 16, low to high, just like the outputs do here. The power light is located here underneath the ground. It does make it kind of difficult to see, but it is very bright. It will illuminate this whole back side of the board. We have ground and we have power, 4 gauge inputs, 3 30 amp fuses, and then the little white connector down here below that is your iData Link connection. Let's take a look at this amplifier. It's an 800 watt amplifier. It is a stereo amplifier. It does have some really cool features. As a companion amp to the Blackbird and the Falcon, it has to be able to do a couple things. For one, it's a stereo amplifier. The reason that we went with that is because you might want 2 channels of a lot of power to go to something. Mid-bass, let's say you're gonna do 2 8s or 9s in the door, or you're building some crazy system, maybe you have some cans out the back. Either way, you may need a big 2-channel amplifier. You may also need a big monoblock amplifier. And typically when you have a 2-channel amplifier, the 2-channel amplifier is only capable, if it does 2 ohm stereo, of doing 4 ohm mono. This amplifier is a little different. It's a lot different. Starting over here, power and protect lights, as well as your 2 clip lights. Now this is not a DSP amplifier, so those clip lights are going to be helpful for setting up the gain. You can see these turn on as you turn up the gain, and the amplifier starts to let you know it's doing enough work. Channel 1 and 2, positive, negative, are located here. Then down below it shows this is channel 1 positive and channel 2 negative are for bridged. If you are going to bridge it, it has a stereo mono switch right here. There's this switch located right here, and it says stereo load 2 ohm or 1 ohm. In a standard configuration, you have a 4 ohm or 2 ohm that the amplifier can do in stereo. This one can actually do 1 ohm stereo. So if you're gonna be really loading down the channels, but you do have to flick the switch over. Now because it can do 1 ohm stereo, we're gonna come down here to this other highlighted box that gives you the option for bridged, 4 ohm or 2 ohm. So just like we talked about, if it can do 2 ohm stereo, it can do 4 ohm mono. Because this can do 1 ohm stereo, it can do 2 ohm mono. This opens up a lot of possibilities for subwoofer configurations. Keep in mind though, you do have to flick this switch, but this will bridge to 2 ohm mono. It does have a crossover, even though most of the time you are going to be putting it with the Falcon or the Blackbird. You can turn it off, or you can use it for low or high. Gain control, RCA inputs. It has the same remote turn on options where you have off, sense, and DC. You have remote in and remote out. Therefore, if you're going to be going to, let's say, 2 or 3 of these, you can daisy chain them. You're going to come out of the DSP into the in, and then you come out of this to each one of the corresponding amplifiers down the pipe. Ground, 12 volt, 4 gauge inputs, as well as 3 30 amp fuses. So these are the 2 amplifiers that's going to power everything in this install. We're going to be running a big 0 gauge to them with a distribution block, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We need to talk about how we're going to get signal to these amplifiers. One of the reasons why I bought the Mustang, at the time it was one of the only vehicles that iData made all the parts for it. Meaning if I wanted to put a new radio in it, they had a dash kit, they had an RR, they had a harness. If I wanted to keep the factory radio and put amplifiers in it, they made the AF03 and an AR or a DSR1 or the ARC audio amplifiers. They had the PSM Pro at the time that could plug in. So I knew whatever I decided to do, I would be able to make that happen. We just put the new JVC 8-inch screen in the dash using the iData direct replacement kit. And so that means we've solved that issue. We put that in, we did an RR2, and it's going to the factory amplifier. That means I can buy the AF03, and that will give me speaker wires that I can then take back to these harnesses that are going to provide the new power. I can use this and make like a T-harness to plug in and get access to all my speaker wires. The extension will allow me to do it all in one nice braided cable from my data. And that is this guy right here. There is some modifications that I do to this cable, but for the most part it is the same as what you get because we're not using it with an AR or in the AR style configuration. It's just a bunch of twisted wires that I can hook up any way I want. Now on this end, we have our speaker connectors. This is center, left and right mid-range, and this is the mid-bass in the bottom of the doors as well as the rear speakers. We had to run 2 extra pairs of wires, and these are going to be for our tweeters. Now aside from that, we've also, because the signal from the radio is there in a 4-channel configuration, that gives us 4 of the RCAs that we need for our out of the radio to go back to the amplifier. And because we're not using it in the iData configuration, there's also extra wires that are on this harness that have nothing to do with anything anymore, like CAN wires and stuff like that, that aren't being connected to CAN. I can utilize those for other things. In this case, adding a subwoofer RCA, as well as there's a remote turn on in there. A lot of stuff is already in this that I can just remanufacture into a harness that I can just drop right into the car. This will plug into the kick. This goes up behind the radio, and then this end right here is going to be attached to these cables, and then it's just going to plug right in. Super slick. Now to do this, I do take this whole harness apart, and there is some soldering involved. You do need to take good notes so you know what you're doing, but other than that, all we have to do is drop this one cable into the car. This is going to plug right into the amplifier, and then we'll be done. That means I just need to solder on this connector instead of using this connector because there are no RCAs and it's going to work identically the same. And then these will get attached to these.